This is the Surly Grognards for September 11th, 2018. Fuck, it's September 11th. I've completely. Wow.
I there are so many jokes I could make and will totally get us in trouble.
Yeah, also, yeah, we're not going to be doing any sort of, tribute thing on this. Yeah.
Must refrain from joke.
Do that, Eric. It's a good impulse to restrain that. Yes, Eric. As always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson.
I'm a terrible person.
Well, we both are. Oh my God. Well, we actually have another topic this week, which we'll be getting to after we do our little sort of pre-topic banter.
Pre-topic banter, just to get it out of the way. Otherwise, it's all that will happen.
Pretty much. So yeah. Anything new going on gaming-wise with you, dude?
Not really. Yeah, nothing terribly exciting. Just waiting on October.
October.
Works.
Oh God, I broke down and actually bought the 8th edition 40k rulebook in Space Marine Codex. The Codex got here yesterday. Supposedly the rulebook is here on my upstairs on my porch.
Right.
I just got a notice that it was delivered, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I'll do that after. I'll go grab it after the show. So
If
yeah.
I remember correctly, Marines suffer from a bit of a unit bloat in that, well, they're Space Marines. They've been around for 30 years and get all the love.
I'm not surprised. And they got the whole new Marine type of Marine,
Yep.
Space Marine in this edition. So
Yep. The super duper Marines. I'm not terribly fond of them, but they have their uses, and they are admittedly really nice models.
Cool. I don't have any of those show up.
Right. No. Oh, yeah. Clearly.
All the models I have are
Neither do I. I don't play Space Marines.
I played Space Marines, but I played them back in 3rd edition. So
yeah, thousands of years ago when dinosaurs roamed the Earth. And Andy Chambers is still writing codexes, and Jervis Johnson hadn't retired and fucked off to wherever the hell Jervis Johnson went to.
Yeah, it's probably for the best for the games designed by Games Workshop. Jervis seemed like a lovely chap, but
Jervis is a really cool guy who loved his lore and seems like exactly the kind of person I want to play the game against. The problem was he did not care about balance. Well, this seems cool. Let's put that in there, was his motto.
And I can sort of understand that.
Sure. I entirely like that someone like that exists for designing games, but they should not be in charge. And
you really want someone like that designing shit for your game. Then you want someone like Tumas Pirinen looking at the shit and figuring out how to balance it.
Yes. Or just going, no, you cannot put that in there. That breaks everything.
I mentioned to him because he was one of the people who did a lot of work on 6th edition Fantasy Battle and 3rd edition 40k, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
He was
probably the best.
6th
6th edition Fantasy was probably the best.
Yeah. Tumas was a longtime Fantasy Battle player who was renowned on the net for being a complete cheesemonger when it came to designing his armies. Oh lordy, was he a cheesemonger?
Oh yeah. No, he was the guy that would get net listed, and that his list would be the ones everyone would copy.
He was one of the people he was one of those people. He would look at an army, play around with it, and try to find out exactly what was worth using and how to use it and such.
And how to break it.
Yeah.
This is exactly the guy you want doing playtesting.
Yeah, and they brought him on board, and lo and behold, all the stuff he worked on was completely fair and was actually perfectly reasonable and balanced.
Yep.
Because he's like, yeah, I know how to break this shit. I don't want it. I don't actually want it broken, but when I'm playing,
it makes for a less fun game. but I'm here to break it so that we know what needs to be fixed before it goes to the publisher.
Yep. But at any rate, yeah. You need both those types of people in order to write a good tabletop board game.
It is a... there must be a homeostasis between the two.
Mm-hmm. And it's not to say, but it's not to say that, you know, someone who's really creative comes up with all this really cool shit can't be someone who's also good at, you know, breaking shit and finding, you know, balancing it, and vice versa.
Right. No, I'm sure that person exists.
Mm-hmm.
There are 6 billion people out there. I'm sure one of them is that guy.
I'm sure there are more than one of them, but, you know.
Yeah.
At any rate,
7 now. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I got that. I thumbed through the Marine Codex a little bit and was like, "Yep, I don't have the rule book yet. I should probably read through the rules first."
Yeah, that might be useful.
Other than that, been fussing around with a bunch of different games, video games.
Cool.
I've been played a bit of Skyrim today. Played some Warframe. Been playing a little bit of Star Trek Online again. They've announced that they're releasing a new ship for Star Trek Online. Two new ships for Star Trek Online that Eric and I are very excited about. One of each, and I'm excited for the one Eric's excited for also.
Yes,
but I am more of a I'm more of a fan of the Fed ship designs than Eric is.
There are some Fed designs I really enjoy. Most I'm very sort of take or leave.
Yeah, but they're putting in a tier 6 ambassador class, ambassador class cruiser, ambassador class. And a tier 6 Vorcha for the Klingons.
Which I am super excited for. The Vorcha was always pretty sexy.
Yep, and I'm a big fan of both those ships. So the ambassador is actually one of my favorite Federation ships, to be completely honest, in terms of its look. It takes a lot of the design elements I like from the Excelsior and combines with a lot of the visual elements I like about the Galaxy and blends them together nicely.
See, despite TNG being the Star Trek that I started on for all intents and purposes, I was never really that fond of the design of the Galaxy.
I totally grok why.
And, but the Excelsior... That's a fucking sexy ship.
See, I can't... I like some of the design elements of the Excelsior, but I don't overall like the design of the Excelsior.
I can understand why. It's got some of that, like... It manages to be both angular and sleek, at the same time very distinctly Federation.
Yeah.
And have a bit of... as well as being kind of... having a sort of a squat, powerful feel when seen from certain degrees. So,
it's not a bad ship, but I would never describe it as sexy.
Well, you and I have different definitions of sexy when it comes to mechanical design.
That's true. This is actually very true. We overlap sometimes, but you know.
Yeah. I really like my hard angles and sharp edges and whatnot.
Yeah. And I appreciate those, but I also like, you know, I like sweeping, graceful designs too. I would not say the Galaxy is that. I do not think the Galaxy is a particularly pretty ship. The Galaxy's filled with all sorts of almost works design elements for me.
Yes, that is a great way to describe the Galaxy.
And I think the Ambassador fixes most of those for me.
The Sovereign, I think, fixes them for
me. The Sovereign moves a bit too far in the other direction for me.
Gotcha.
It moves a bit too far away from Federation design aesthetic for me. I don't know. The Sovereign's not a bad-looking ship by any stretch of the imagination, but again...
Although, honestly, movie-era Constitution is probably my favorite ship.
I would agree with you. That's actually one of my favorite Fed ships. I agree completely. And we both love the Miranda.
Yeah, the Miranda's fucking awesome.
Yep. And we will never agree on the Defiant.
No, because the Defiant is awesome and you were wrong.
The Defiant is just ugly.
It's beautifully ugly, Peter.
No,
Beautifully ugly.
It's just ugly. We will never agree on this one.
No, we'll fight to the death.
And unlike our disagreements on Alien and Jaws, where it's like, yes, we disagree, but we also somewhat agree.
Right.
Let's see, we acknowledge that the other person's point of view is actually we get why they feel that way. With this one, we're like, no.
No, Peter is just clearly factually wrong.
No, Eric's clearly factually wrong. Just objectively, the Defiant's an ugly ship. I'm sorry.
It's no, it's not, because it takes certain I understand what you're saying about it being kind of ugly, but it manages to work it in such a way that it aesthetically comes together really well.
It looks like a portable vacuum cleaner, Eric.
It looks like a fucking murderous hockey puck of doom.
Doesn't look murderous at all. It looks like it's designed to sweep up after the real ships have been done fighting.
I mean, it does sweep up. I mean, right after it knocks everything down. We've seen DS9. It sweeps up just fine.
It doesn't help the way it docks the DS9. It literally looks like it's plugging into its recharger.
A lot of ships dock awkwardly on DS9.
They do.
The bird of prey looks like a fucking hummingbird docking with DS9.
Oh my god. At any rate, yeah. We're not going to agree on that one, and that's fine.
No, that's fine. I did see Ready Player One last night.
Oh, did you?
Yes. We rescheduled for game, and then Leland couldn't make it for whatever reason, so we watched a movie which happened to be Ready Player One. So,
what did you think?
It's all right. I'll never say it'll never be my favorite movie.
Uh-huh.
It feels rushed in some places. I understand it's part of the nature of adaptation of a book that takes place over years.
Sure.
It's going to feel a little rushed in places. My biggest complaint about it is the relationship between the two leads feels rushed.
Okay.
And that's my biggest complaint about it.
Sure. I would know. I've not seen it.
Right.
And have basically no interest in doing so.
It's Easter egg the movie.
Sorry, what?
It's Easter egg the movie. It's like, hey, there's that thing. Hey, there's that reference. Hey, I recognize that thing in the background. Hey, look at that.
Yeah, I think I'd get tired of that pretty quickly. Yeah, everything I've read about it makes me go, yeah, I'm no.
It's a fun little distraction, a decent little action movie. It tries to have a heart. It really tries to have a heart. Spielberg really works it, but the fact that it's product placement, the movie, it kind of works against it.
I could see that. Let's see what else. Oh, right! I started playing Yakuza 0 last week. Oh, lordy, am I enjoying that. I haven't gotten back to it yet. I've been taking a little break from it. I'm going to get back to it later this week, I think. Okay, that game is... it's bonkers in all the right ways.
Awesome.
The main protagonist, Kazuma Kiryu, is a good guy who happens to be a Yakuza. And he very much has a romanticized view of what the Yakuza should be. It's very clear his view on what the Yakuza should be. It does in fact clash with what the Yakuza is for a lot of the other Yakuza.
I've heard you describe that before, and it always sort of tickles me. It's like, God damn it, our terrorist organization needs to be much more idealistic and do great things for people.
Well,
why is the Mafia running more orphanages?
The thing is that, like, the original roots for both the Mafia and the Yakuza do start out more altruistic than they became. Like,
Sure. I mean, in the case of the Mafia, it was Italian immigrants banding together and finding work. A lot of it illicit because, well,
Well, I mean, the roots
we've
of the
always had a
mafia.
contentious relationship with immigration.
Well, but the roots of the mafia start back in Sicily. I mean, and
This is true.
a bunch of bandit groups allying together to actually keep order.
Yeah, the old Bandit King kind of deal.
Yeah, kinda. And that's sort of similar to the way the Yakuza started, from what I understand. I might be wrong on this. I don't know Japan as well as I know, European history. For what I like to call probably pretty obvious reasons.
We're American.
That would be why, yes. I've studied a little bit of Japanese history, but not a lot of it touches on the Yakuza for, again, obvious reasons.
Honestly, most of what I know about European history is from my own stuff, like just poking around and picking up.
Oh,
Like,
sure. I mean,
American history, history classes in American history is very much like, and this is America, the end.
yeah, and they get a lot of that wrong, too.
Yeah. It generally stops after World War II.
And it gets some of the earlier
There
details.
might be a reference to the Civil Rights Movement at like the end of the chapter.
And again, it gets some of the earlier stuff wrong, too.
Yep.
But that's irrelevant. At any rate, but I mean, there's a reason that the Yakuza does have a romanticized image in Japan. Like, it has a romanticized image in Japan, period.
Oh, the same could be said about the Mafia here in
Yep,
the States.
but it's more so in Japan, from what I understand. Like, even amongst the Yakuza,
Okay.
like, there's a great tweet that there's Gav, our friend Gav sent me a link to this tweet. Little excerpt from an interview with some former Yakuza members who were playing one of the Yakuza games, and were basically saying, "Yeah, Kiryu's the way the Yakuza used to be." And I'm not sure that he actually is. I think he might. I think it's partially a little bit of them sort of looking back on things with rose-tinted glasses. But there's definitely implication. There's definitely sort of a part of the sort of romanticized Yakuza code is you don't actually you generally don't rough up civilians, as it were. Even if you're doing there's certain levels to which you can go, but there's levels beyond which you don't go with civilians, because I think no small part of it is honestly, if you push civilians too far, then it ends up being bad for business, honestly.
Right. I remember reading somewhere that there was a basic rule like don't fuck with Westerners because they're almost always tourists and they're almost always going to spend money at your business.
There's that, yeah, yeah. I'm certain of that. At any rate, but yeah, I've been enjoying it because so it's got all of that stuff, and Kiryu gets in way over his head very quickly.
As they do in a video game.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off with him roughing up someone who owes a loan shark money, basically. And then the dude's found dead, and everyone assumes it's Kiryu. And he's in real trouble for that because he's, some dude who's supposed to be roughed up for his money, not killed. And you're not supposed to just kill civilians for no reason.
Right.
And of course, Kiryu's like, I didn't think I beat him up that badly. Oh, he was shot. I don't have a gun. I don't even own a gun. I don't use guns. Oh, I'm being framed. Oh,
one of those things. Okay.
And you start figuring out who framed him and why they framed him, and it gets messy, unsurprisingly. And I get the impression it's going to get messier as I go along. I'm really enjoying it though. The combat's the actual sort of fighting part of it, the combat, a lot of fun. You can do all sorts of crazy shit. It's fairly intuitive. There's a fuck ton of stuff to do in the game. Honestly, once you unlock the ability to do side quests, you just start just like walking down the street, you stumble across side quests.
Okay, cool.
And some of them are hilarious. I told you about one where you run it. I stumbled across this dude talking to his dominatrix at her club, and he's sort of chastising her for being, bad at her job, basically, because she's this naturally sort of meek doormat of a girl who decided to become a dominatrix to basically fixed that as a problem about herself because basically everyone she knew took advantage of her because she couldn't say no to people. And so Kiryu basically helps her learn how to be a better dominatrix by just basically being a good dude. It's weird.
You insult them, but you have to insult them the right way.
Yes! That actually comes up. It's really, really good. I think one of my other favorites I've come across is he stumbles across this dude dressed up as like a 50s greaser with a giant pompadour who is really bad at acting like a greaser. And it turns out he's the lead singer for a sort of, a Yankee punk band who, like, he and his two buddies formed a band. They decided as a laugh to dress up as Yankee greaser types. And they got the Yankee punks all, like, completely fell in love with the look in the band. And they have no idea how to handle this. And they're like, well, so what we decided to do was just never talk, so we never let out that we're totally just, like, totally normal dudes. Yeah. And now our producers want us to do a public speaking event. And we're fucked. Dear God, you look like you're tough and dangerous and know what you're know how to handle yourself. Help us, please. It's really funny.
Cool. Okay.
I really, really recommend Yakuza 0. It's good. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Oh, God. Only thing I've been doing, I've watched a few episodes of an anime series that I think is complete garbage, so I'm not watching any more of it. I watched more than I planned on. I watched a lot. I actually watched basically all that was available because it started off being, okay, the initial premise is sort of interesting. Oh, for fuck's sake. Wait, how does the initial premise tie into this? Oh, dear Lord, the initial premise does tie... What the ever-living fuck?
What show is this?
It's called Island.
I've seen that pop up in like my suggested viewings. Like, you should check out Island.
No, you shouldn't, Eric.
Okay.
The basic premise is there's this dude who wakes up naked on the shore of this island with amnesia. All he remembers is that his name, the name of some girl, that he's there to save somebody, that he's there to kill somebody, and that he's traveled through time.
This totally turns into like a hentai, doesn't it?
Turns into a harem, yes.
Yep. Yeah, okay.
And then actually there's time travel. Like from far in the future and into far in the future. It gets stupid. Like I kept watching just because of like it was entirely train wreck and it was late at night. I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this just to know where because it was not well executed.
And there's time travel, and then the mechs show up, and then we're attacked.
Well, no, the thing is, like, they kept implying that time travel was a thing, and then it actually happened, and then it happened again, and then it happened twice the slow way, where somebody was put into stasis and basically went to the future that way and came out of it.
Okay.
And then there's actual time travel where the protagonist is sent back in time to basically the beginning of the show again to actually fix things. Whereas apparently this keeps happening and he keeps fucking up.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're no Homer Akemi.
No, he's not. The last time he actually kept his memories though, so okay. It seems to be working better because I think it's going to be a 13-episode show, and I actually watched 11 episodes of this garbage. It is a terrible show. Do not recommend it.
Gotcha.
Anyways, we should probably get onto our actual topic for tonight.
Yes.
So Eric suggested since there's a new Spider-Man video game out, and we are both gigantic fans of Spider-Man. I mean, he's a big favorite of both of ours.
Yeah, he's Spider-Man.
We should talk about Spider-Man.
Not that either of us have the game. We don't.
No, we don't. I do not have a PS4. and I'm not planning on getting one anytime soon. So I'm not going to be able to play the game anytime soon.
Yeah. I also have no console. I do not believe in consoles anymore. Mainly because, well, I already have a machine to play video games on.
Literally, the only console I would consider buying right now is a Switch, and that's because it does something that my PC can't do, which is portable gaming.
Mm.
Yeah, there are individual games I can't play because I don't have consoles. I'll live with that.
Yeah.
But like having something I could do portable gaming on, that would be kind of cool. I would consider buying a Switch for that. Like I get that. I get why people buy consoles too. It's just not for me, you know.
Right.
But at any rate,
Spider-Man.
So I will say I have watched a large portion of the game being played by streamers because I knew I wasn't going to play it anytime soon. I will say what I can say about the story because I've seen people playing through the story stuff. And what I can say about the story of it is the story looks really good. It does a nice job of establishing connections between Spidey and some of the villains. A large part of it is the origin of Doc Ock.
Cool. I always like Doc Ock.
And the relationship between Spidey and Octavius, and specifically Peter Parker and Octavius in the story in this game is really good and really interesting. And makes Doc Ock a gigantic tragedy, actually.
Cool.
Like, oh boy.
Because I always liked Dr. Octopus. I mean, initially when I was a little kid, it's because he had back tentacles. How cool is that? But like, the more I learned about him through comics and various incarnations via TV shows and movies, like, no, Dr. Octopus is a really interesting, fascinating character.
Yep. I really dug that.
And yeah. A vicious motherfucker.
Yeah. Does a nice job with Doc Ock. Does a nice job with all of the Sinister Six who show up. Does a really good job with Mr. Negative. Again, another tragic villain.
Right. Yeah, Spider-Man's got the friggin' Batman Rogues Gallery for Marvel.
Not all of them. Scorpion is not particularly tragic.
Who isn't?
Scorpion?
Yeah, Scorpion is Spider-Man's Killer Croc, let's be honest here.
I mean, Rhino's not super tragic. He's a little bit. He's stuck in his suit.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a nice guy to begin with, so... I'm not sure about Vulture. I think it depends on which incarnation of Vulture you're talking about.
Which incarnation of Vulture you're dealing with, because there have been several. And he gets retconned and reimagined.
And Electro's not particularly sympathetic either.
I seem to remember Electro was a lab assistant who got caught in...
but he was always kind of a jerk, from what I remember.
Okay. Because I seem to remember him actually being a decent guy who went a bit crazy with the electricity constantly shocking his brain.
It's possible. I don't remember. I don't know for fact.
Again, another character who's had his back history done several times.
Right, that's definitely the case. So at any rate...
So I'm guessing this isn't an incarnation with Venom in it.
Venom is not in it yet, no.
Okay.
No,
so,
if they do not have room to put Venom in also.
Right.
They have enough... they have the Sinister Six. They have... Osborn. They've got Norman Osborn in the game. And he's mayor of New York.
He doesn't need to be mayor of New York. He's got Oscorp going on.
He has that too, yeah. But he's mayor of New York in this. He's Mayor Osborn. They've changed a few things up. It's fine.
Okay.
They've got a few other... I think they've got Silver Sable in there too.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, she and a bunch of mercs are doing work for Osborn as sort of a, elite sort of law enforcement agency type. Spidey ends up getting blamed for some shit that he shouldn't get blamed for because of course he does because he's Spider-Man.
It's actually one of the things I like about Spider-Man. As good a guy as he is, as much as he tries to help out, he always gets the shit into the stick. And despite that, he keeps doing the right fucking thing.
Yeah.
I love him for it.
Yeah, so I will say this. That's actually good. I will say the one thing I do want to say is the ending of the game is really good, and they do some stuff that I do not think Marvel would ever have the chutzpah to actually do.
Okay.
They do some stuff that I'm like, oh, well, I did not see that coming.
Marvel the comic books or Marvel
Yes.
the movies? Okay.
Yes.
Marvel's done some taken pretty big risks before.
I'm not spoiling a damn thing.
Like the whole Superior Spider-Man where Dr. Octopus takes over.
Yeah, that's been undone.
Well, yeah, I know that's been undone.
But yeah,
like the whole like girl Thor got undone, and not Jane Austen, Jane Foster. Thank you. Yeah, she's no longer Thor. Thor's back, or Guy Thor is back. You know, they will do cool, interesting things and then undo them eventually, or return back to their status quo.
Because Marvel needs. I will say this: comic books, as a general rule of thumb, need to actually fucking evolve. Like they are too tied to their status quo. Both Marvel and DC.
Well, yeah, it's the big two that are really tied to their status.
Yes, I would. I'm specifically talking about them.
Yeah, like Invincible over for Ad Image does a lot of changes and evolution and whatnot. I think it ended not long ago.
I believe it did. Yes.
Which means I have a lot to catch up on. There's a lot of Invincible. I really liked Invincible.
Oh no, there are a bunch of things that are not the big two that do that. You know, Astro City changes as it goes.
Yep, Hellboy.
Absolutely, yeah, and it ended.
Yep, and Hellboy ended. Which I still haven't read because I don't want to, because that means that Hellboy really will have ended.
But I respect the crap out of that.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Well, Mike Mignola's got the clout, and he's the sole proprietor of the character.
Yep.
Like, this is my character. I can do what I want. I am ending Hellboy. The end.
Yep. No,
I've been doing it for 20 some odd years.
Yep. But back to Spidey.
Yes.
We just sort of want to talk. I think we just want to talk about Spider-Man the character because, as I said, for me, he's actually was for a long time. He was probably my favorite superhero.
Yeah.
Like
Spidey was never my favorite superhero, but he was always in like the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's one of those things that will shift. He never had the number 1, but he was always within striking distance, which is a great metaphor for Spider-Man.
I mean, for me, it was I've had a few that rotated. Like Spidey was not always been my favorite, but I think overall, looking back over the years, he is my favorite superhero.
Fair enough.
Like I had a big thing for Batman early on because he was the first superhero. Batman comics was the first superhero comics I ever read. So of course, Batman was right there because it was the first superhero I was exposed to.
Batman was my favorite for a long time because of Batman the Animated Series.
And he became that happened to me also. Although that also happened around or just after the whole Clone Saga thing kind of ruined Spider-Man for me.
Yeah. No, the Clone Saga happened when I had no real access to comic books simply because there wasn't anyone selling any in my neighborhood.
Right.
So
I will say this, I love comic books, but I'm not a big buyer of comics. I don't read them a lot all the time, but I've always really enjoyed them. And I always kept tabs on them, and I'd sort of been loosely keeping tabs on Spider-Man during all of this. And I remember walking into Newbury Comics one day and sort of going, I should take a look at what's going on with Spider-Man. Thumbing through the most recent one, and it was one of the ones where Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider, basically announced that he was actually the real Peter Parker, and Peter Parker was the clone.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And my reaction to that was, yeah, okay, I'm done with Spidey for now. Not because I don't necessarily think the Clone Saga was particularly horrible, although I thought it was pretty bad at the time. I've not read it I'd skimmed through it, and I've not reread any of what had read before, so I don't know what I'd actually think of it now if I read through it.
No, I got you. Like, whenever I'd get my claws on a comic book when I was younger, like I remember one of them was during the Spider-Man Clone Saga, and there was this guy called Kane, and he looked cool, and he left handprints everywhere because his clinging power is overpowered. And he would leave these scorched handprints, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? What's he doing in the Spider-Man comic book? Oh, I gotta find more. I never found out what happened to Kane. I quickly realized I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, but yeah, I will also say that hearing all the stuff, like everything that happened around One More Day, just like that really soured me on Spidey.
Yeah, my issue with One More Day is I had actually started reading some Spider-Man beforehand, before Civil War happened and all that shenanigans. But Spider-Man, like but like Spidey had like become a science teacher in high school, and his marriage with Mary Jane was actually working out.
Yep.
She had a career that she was pursuing and being her own person. He was really happy, more or less being the house husband that was also a science teacher that run around being Spider-Man, and that was really cool. And there was this thing like with the where they called into question the actual origin of Spider-Man's powers, like because some totemic guy was like, yeah, no, you're the chosen spider god. That's ridiculous. It's bitten by a radioactive spider. He's like, were you bitten by a radioactive spider, or did the spider totem pass its powers onto you before dying of radiation poisoning? Peter's like, I think Peter's exact thing was, I can't completely discount that because I'm friends with Doctor Strange, but it still sounds stupid.
Well, yeah, the whole radioactive spider thing, if you think about it, should seem kind of stupid also.
Right. Yes.
I will say that I know who was writing that. That was J. Michael Straczynski.
Yep, and it was good. I really enjoyed that.
Almost as if JMS is a good writer.
Yeah, and then I dropped off for a while, and then Civil War happened, and I really didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Although you did get a Spider-Man outfit with giant mechanical robot arms, and that's always cool.
I admit, got style.
Yeah, and then One More Day happened. You know what? I hear good things about Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. About the only good thing about the Ultimates universe.
Yeah, there were aspects of the Ultimates universe that made me laugh out loud. In general, like laughing with the comic, like the bit with Hulk rampaging through New York trying to catch up to it, Betty screaming, "Freddie Prinze can't love you like Hulk can love you." That cracked me up.
If it wasn't associated with the rest of the problems with Ultimate's Hulk, I would find that funnier.
Yes.
The problem is that there's all the other crap baggage associated with the Ultimate's Hulk and most of the Ultimate's characters that makes all of that much less funny than it could have been. Like, that line in a vacuum, I will agree with you completely. In a vacuum, the Hulk shouting that line is fucking hilarious.
And that was my first exposure to the Ultimates universe, honestly.
That's great.
Issue.
The problem is, Ultimate Hulk shouting that line is fucking creepy.
Yeah, because Ultimate Hulk's it's not a good person.
No. Like, seriously, like 616 or is it whatever, the mainline Marvel Universe Hulk, like the mainline Universe Hulk shouting that is funny. Like,
Ultimate Hulk shouting that Ultimate Hulk would be a mainline Hulk villain. Honestly.
Absolutely.
Like, no question about it.
He's exactly the sort of person the Hulk would beat up.
Yes.
For being a jerk.
Yep. And you have other issues like Captain America's rabid and violent jingoism.
The Blob being a cannibal.
Yep.
The fuck.
taking all of Hank Pym's less favorable traits and cranking them to 11.
Yeah. Like, seriously. Like...
But there was this bastion of light, and that was Ultimate Spider-Man. And Ultimate Spider-Man is actively good.
Yep.
It gets Peter right. It gets Peter's a bunch of Peter's rogues gallery right. If they do turn up the edge a little bit, because late 90s, early 2000s.
Yep. And it did something that mainline Marvel would never do.
Yeah, it killed Peter and passed it on to Miles Morales,
Yep.
a black kid. And that was Miles Morales is also really cool.
Yep.
And a worthy successor. Like yeah.
Seriously, I will say this. Joe Quesada talked about
Peter?
What?
You cut out there for a minute.
Oh, sorry. Joe Quesada went on like before the whole One More Day thing, wanting to return Spider-Man to his roots, bring him back to being sort of the nerdy teenager, had trouble with girls, etc., all that stuff, and that the stories that Spider-Man stories didn't work, with Peter being a responsible adult in a good committed relationship, which is horseshit. But let's ignore that. Let's assume all that's true.
That. J. Michael Straczynski proved him wrong with the stuff leading up to Civil War.
I agree completely, but we'll ignore that for the moment. Let's assume Quesada's right.
Right.
What is a better answer than to have Spider-Man make a deal with the fucking devil to undo all of this stuff? How about actually having Peter Parker pass the fucking torch?
Yep.
Have him realize that yes, I can't be. If I want to keep doing all this stuff, I can't just be Spider-Man anymore. But Spider-Man is needed, and have him come across somebody who can be the new Spider-Man, and train them and teach them to be teach them to be
pull a Flash, basically.
Pull a Flash, pull us.
Then you do it with fucking Miles Morales, and then you have him in the mainline story.
Yep. And I will say, do you know who did basically that story with a Spider-Man equivalent brilliantly?
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Busiek.
Yep.
With I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Jack in the Box. Did it fucking brilliantly.
The exact image of the character you're thinking of. It's like, what was that fucker's name?
And oh my god, that it was like a 2-issue mini story.
Yep.
Of the dude who's who's Jack in the Box, realizing that his wife's pregnant. He's getting older.
I have responsibilities that have personal responsibilities that I can't go risking my neck anymore. Like too many people depend on me as a civilian to risk my neck as a superhero.
And
besides, I'm old.
Finding basically saying, well, what my choices are: quit being Jack in the Box, or keep being Jack in the Box and risking my life. And what will that mean? And finding an answer C, which is finding somebody to take his place because he was needed.
Mm.
And
and a great way to do that would to have Peter choose someone from his science class.
Right. Well, or finding out that Miles, who's a student of his, has similar abilities.
Yep.
Like, we could say it's Miles because Miles Morales is fucking great.
Yeah, he's cool.
But passing the torch it's not done enough.
No.
Like, they did it.
With some characters, you can't pass the torch.
Right.
Thor is immortal.
No, but you don't need to pass the torch with Thor. I mean, we've proven that you can sort of quasi-pass the torch with Thor in the past.
Yep.
I mean, Beta Ray Bill exists.
Beta Ray Bill. There's that time Thor was a frog. That was pretty cool.
I mean, and honestly, what they did with Jane Foster, that's pretty cool. And, honestly, if you really feel the need to bring Thor back, we have Beta Ray Bill as a fucking example of she could keep the abilities. She could be her own superhero.
Get her own hammer. Yep.
We've done it before. And Beta Ray Bill is fucking awesome. He's very strange and very 60s, but,
Beta Ray Bill is sort of this perfect apotheosis of all the batshit insanity of Cosmic Marvel.
Yes.
And that's why you should.
God bless you, Jack Kirby. God bless you, Jack Kirby.
You crazy, crazy man.
God, the episode of Earth's Mightiest Heroes where Beta Ray Bill showed up was just such a wonderful.
Yes.
Wait, oh my God, they're bringing Beta Ray Bill back. Yes.
I love that they have a giant statue of Beta Ray Bill in Thor Ragnarok. Like there's the Tower of Champions, and you see like the Guardian, like a giant bust of the Guardian made out of like Art Deco bust of the Guardian made out of steel, and next up on it, it's Beta Ray Bill. You can see them building the Hulk's face there. It's just awesome.
That's great. Oh, Beta Ray Bill. But, you know, seriously, like, Spider-Man passing the torch would be that would be fucking cool.
Yeah.
And they're never gonna do it.
No. Well, it's because Marvel's pulled a great trick in maintaining a kind of homeostasis with their universe, is that everything that happened a few years ago. There are no hard dates in Marvel.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's a great trick, and it lets you do the whole perpetually 25 or 35 hero without it being without it just disintegrating under its own weight.
Yeah, but it starts to get a little weird.
Yeah.
And things start getting compressed in weird ways, and some characters stop making any goddamn sense.
I'm saying it's a good trick, but and it's let them maintain this for a very long time.
Sure, but
they are starting to feel the weight of it now.
They've been feeling the weight of it for a long while. As I said, they need to.
Yeah.
Marvel's universe, my perspective, needs to evolve. They need to take steps forward. And I don't care where you believe things should go. Like,
they have attempted to start moving things forward with new characters, and there was a significant backlash. And the head of Marvel is not a nice person.
Well, yeah, Perlmutter is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he took a limited neckbeard backlash as proof that he gets to scrap all this shit and move on.
I will say comic books have a serious problem currently. Just from a financial standpoint,
in general does, yeah.
They are screwed right now. They need to bring in new fans badly, and I don't think they realize that. I don't know if they realize that.
I think they do.
I think there are people there who do. There are people there who do, but I don't think the people in charge do.
I don't know. I think they do realize they need to bring in new fans, but they're terrified of losing their current ones. Because they look at what happened with the Death of Superman thing, and all the other Supermans that cropped up out of that, and they're like, yeah, Superman never recovered after that. They're terrified of pulling the same shit.
It would have helped if that had been written well.
Well, yeah.
Like, seriously, had DC actually passed the torch and done it well and had good writing, that would have worked fine. Like, seriously.
Well, leave it to the executives to take exactly the wrong lesson from something.
Well, sure, absolutely. Leave it to comic books in general, taking the wrong lessons from shit. Like, that's been the case since the fucking 90s.
Yep.
When everyone took the wrong goddamn lessons from Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns.
And news that shit like Superman 1 and Spider-Man 1 and the first appearance of Spider-Man was selling for shit tons of money at auctions. Like, number ones everywhere with collectible covers. Yeah.
Guys, the reason those are selling for huge amounts of money is because there are very few of them left.
No, it'll be fine. And, it worked for a while. The collector's bubble was a thing.
But it was a bubble.
Yes.
And it burst fairly quickly.
That's kind of the problem with bubbles. You don't realize you're in one till it explodes.
This is true, actually. But yeah, God, it just, like, it's just, wow. I think the problem is that I think Marvel Comics themselves and DC Comics don't realize they're a niche market now.
Yeah. And to be fair, I haven't paid too close attention to Marvel or DC in a long time. I think the last time I bought a contemporary trade for Marvel or DC was during the whole Blackest Night thing.
Well, I mean, they don't from their metrics. Your purchase didn't matter anyways. You bought a trade, not the individual issues.
Right, and I always buy trades because
you're a trader to comic books, Eric.
I am. Well, the problem is, while I appreciate the single issue format,
I
one, I read it in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Two, because I always read these things several times. Once to get through the story, once to really soak in and appreciate the art, and a third time to appreciate the panel layout and how they
Mhm.
patch the story into the panels and pages. I really have to read every comic 3 times to appreciate all of this.
Sure.
And I really love all of these aspects of comics, which
Absolutely.
is why. And yeah, they your average single issue comic book does not stand up to me reading them 3 times.
No, and they're not cheap either.
No, they're not cheap. I mean, prices for general geekery have skyrocketed compared to other things.
Yeah, comic books are
intellectual-
pretty fucking bad though for the amount of
Yep.
the return,
absolutely.
the return, the entertainment you get out of them per dollar spent is actually shockingly low.
Yep. No, absolutely. Like I said, 15 minutes I read it 3 times before it disintegrates.
No, I totally, I do not disagree with you.
$4.
No, the trades are a much from the consumer standpoint. Trades are better. I would agree with you completely. Digital format would be great too, but that also doesn't count for their sales figures. So
No, again, I'm not one of the digital converts because
well, part of the problem is that
the physicality of it also,
that's fine. Also, they're not cheaper.
which is so weird.
It's stupid. It's not just weird. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It is dumb.
Well, I understand the logic behind it. They don't want to cut into their physical market, which has a much higher overhead and has the danger of gutting the specialty comic book shop.
Yeah, well,
Which, I'm going to be honest, I love comic book shops.
Sure.
I don't want to see them go away. They serve an actual
The problem is, as things are going, they're going to.
Yeah. Well, they'll be held aloft by their old customers for a long time, and unfortunately, I think you're right. I think they're probably on the out. I think general physical retail outside of extremely specialized boutique shops that you can't do online, like say a tailor or anything custom at all, really, you're gonna have problems.
Well, it's not just that. I think comic books are going to be. Honestly, I think comics are going to have. They have the actual media of comic books has to evolve, or they're going to die.
Yes.
They're not bringing in the numbers they need to stay profitable. The reason Marvel and DC are still going, especially Marvel, is it's a loss leader for them, for Disney.
Yep.
It's a loss leader for Disney's movies.
Yeah.
If the movies ever stop making serious bank, Marvel Comics are in real fucking trouble.
Yep. They'll probably keep them on for the prestige, honestly, and then maybe eventually try to sell them off.
Maybe. I don't know. At any rate, we should talk about Spider-Man.
Disney does care about his prestige, but yes, we should talk about Spider-Man.
Because Spider-Man is more important than all of this bullshit.
Yes.
But no, I agree with back to Spidey as a character. I actually really do agree with you. I think part of what makes Spidey so great is because shit doesn't go well does go badly for him, despite him doing the right thing, and the fact that he keeps doing the right thing despite that, and the fact that he acknowledges Peter Parker knows that shit has gone wrong for him, and he knows that it would be easier for him not to keep doing the right thing, and he does it anyways because it is the right thing to do.
Because it's the right fucking thing to do. Another thing I really love about Spider-Man is Spider-Man's just a schmuck. He's a schmuck that lucked, if you can call it that, given his history, into some superpowers.
That's not entirely true.
Okay, he was always a smart kid in school.
He is a nerd who lucked into powers.
Yes.
Like
I'm saying what I'm saying is he's just a normal kid.
Oh yeah, totally. No. I agree with you on that. Yes.
He has no higher destiny. He doesn't have a long and storied dynasty that he's fulfilling. He doesn't even have a fucking mentor.
No, he doesn't, and that's one of the. He's learned all. He had a mentor. They're dead.
Yep. And it wasn't a mentor like, I will teach you the ropes of being a
No,
superhero.
he had someone to teach him morality and ethics.
Yes.
And he didn't learn the lesson. The lessons didn't sink in until his mentor was gone.
Until it was too late, right?
Yeah.
And now he really holds true to them and tries to live up to that ideal as much as he can.
Yep.
I mean, that makes him a goddamn fucking saint.
Peter Parker is a great guy.
Yes.
And is one of the biggest damn heroes Marvel has.
Damn straight. I will absolutely agree.
Like, as I said, he's my favorite of the mainline comic books. Between Marvel and DC, he's my favorite superhero right now. With Captain America probably being number 2.
I never liked Captain America until I saw the Captain America: The First Avenger. It's like, oh, this is how he's supposed to be done. Oh, okay.
I had started seeing him in that light not long before First Avenger came out. Because Cap has basically actually been this way almost the entire time.
Sure. Yeah, and I can see that now, but
yes.
At the time it was before I saw it like writ large on the silver screen.
Right.
He always came across as equal parts corny and jingoistic to me.
That's the thing is he's never actually been jingoistic.
I know.
That's the thing is I was in
yes.
I was in exactly the same position as you, Eric. I totally agree with you. For the longest goddamn time, I thought his patriotism was incredibly jingoistic, and I don't remember what it was. I stumbled across something, which he has been corny at times. Let's not sugarcoat that.
Well, yeah. No,
I mean he's a superhero. They're occasionally pretty damn corny.
They will be corny occasionally. It just happens.
Yeah. Someone actually sort of told me about something Cap was involved in. I checked it out and I was like, wait, this doesn't jive with the Captain America I was convinced I knew what Captain America was.
Yep.
And I went through, I started looking at some other stuff and discovered more of who he is and started really appreciating him.
Yeah, no, it took me to see it writ large on the silver screen for me to see that. And then I went back and read some of the stuff with Cap in it that I had read, seeing it in a new light. And then I discovered other stuff, like I hadn't read The Winter Soldier until then. I was like,
wow.
Oh, this is really fucking good. No wonder everyone told me I should read it.
I think it was actually Winter Soldier that I think I read that. It was reading that was what really cued me into Cap.
Yeah. And yeah, it's basically, if you're looking for damn big ass fucking heroes in the Marvel universe, you've got Spidey and Cap. And everyone else is, they don't have that sort of degree of sainthood to them. That's not to say they're not great characters. Like Tony Stark is an asshole alcoholic who, despite himself, always tries to do the right thing. The Hulk is the Banner Hulk thing is just a glorious dichotomy that I've always enjoyed.
Yep.
Fucking X-Men.
Yeah.
That's another thing about Captain America. He was literally just some scrawny kid who wanted to do right and lucked into powers, sort of similar to Spidey.
Yep.
And that's kind of what makes them both awesome. Spidey's better than Cap, though.
I agree with you. Spidey is my. There's a reason Spidey is my favorite. I will say, when he's handled properly, Batman is still great.
Yep.
And and again, like, dear God, when he's handled right, Superman is still one of the all-time greats.
Yep.
But it's
again, drawing the dichotomy between, say, Spider-Man and Superman or Batman is Superman has a greater destiny involved. It handed down, like, he's the last son of Krypton. He he was charged with by both his fathers to be a beacon of hope and to drive humanity to be their best. And yeah, he's got a destiny and a big goddamn legacy. Batman's a rich kid, one with a tragic history, but he's a rich kid who always has enough money for whatever he needs, except for parents.
Oh, I feel bad at laughing about that, but it's damn funny.
It is. But like, Peter Parker is literally just some kid from the shitty part of Queens when Queens was shitty.
Right.
Doing his damnedest to live up to an ideal instilled upon him by just his uncle.
Yep.
It was a good guy, but it was just a guy.
Yep.
Who worked a shitty job and struggled to put food on the table for his family. And that's awesome.
Yeah. It's absolutely accurate. Spidey is the everyman. Is the thing. He is not literally, because he is, he's smarter than your average.
He does have superpowers.
he has superpowers, and he's very, very smart.
Yes.
Like, I think that's one of the things that always one of the things that I do find some interpretations of Spidey get wrong. And they downplay his. Spidey has several sort of avenues about him that are actually that are important and interesting. He's got his powers, we've got his, his motivations, his ethos, and his bad luck, for lack of a better term. Yeah. And every now and then they forget about the fact that he's also, the way he thinks, he's also a scientist.
Yes.
He loves science. He's good at it, and a bunch of times they forget about that. It's one of the reasons I always get sort of mildly irritated whenever they make his web shooters organic as opposed to being a device he built, because that it removes one of the visual reminders that Peter Parker is an inventor and a smart guy and a scientist.
Sure. Yep. I see where you're coming from with that, because the first thing I think about when I think organic web shooters is the Sam Raimi movies, and I really love the first two.
They're fine. They are fine movies. But I think they get part of Spider-Man a bit wrong, honestly. A little bit, just a little bit.
I will agree with that. They get him a little bit wrong, but there's just some. There's a charm to them, and Tobey Maguire makes a great Peter.
I actually disagree with you on that. I can't watch. I tried rewatching Spider-Man 2 a while back, a couple years ago, and I couldn't get through the opening scenes. I wanted to punch Tobey Maguire in the goddamn face.
Okay, fair enough. I will say he does not make the best Spidey.
No.
So because he doesn't quip enough, and one of the things I love about Spider-Man is he's constantly joking and taunting and making like random asides, and it's clear. It's clear reading it because you have his thought bubbles, and they come out and say it a few times. He's doing it because he's fucking terrified and he can't keep track of his mouth. Which is another reason why he wears the mask, because it protects those he loves, but it also keeps anyone from realizing just how scared shitless he is of getting shot at by the machine gun.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
or
the thing is,
giant lashing tentacles, or getting impaled on Rhino's horn, or what have you.
Right. I mean, the other thing is that it is simultaneously a coping mechanism for his very understandable fear and worry that he has while doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also it does serve a purpose. It gets under the skins of the people he's dealing with.
Oh yeah, like what's the quickest way to beat Doc Ock? make fun of him for 10 minutes during a fight.
Yeah.
He's going to get pissed off, slip up, and fall into his own super weapon every time. And the best part about Doc Ock, he's like always realizes immediately after, oh, I did it.
I did it again. He got me again. Damn you, Spider-Man.
Damn you, Arachnid.
But yeah, Spidey is he's just this wonderfully grounded superhero.
Yes. Especially in Marvel's New York, which is filled with so much batshit insanity.
Yeah.
Like, even just in Spidey's Rogues Gallery, you have a med scientist pumped full of megasteroids on a flying wing throwing goblin bombs at people, throwing pumpkin bombs at people. A giant mafia torpedo in a friggin' power suit with rhino horns for some reason. It's like a bio power suit, or whatever. A dude that turns into sand. He's got his Rogues Gallery is
a super scientist with
a
super scientist with four cybernetic tentacle arms.
Yes, that always have some sort of weird gadget that pops out of the claws.
You just go through Spidey's Rogue Gallery, you're like, okay, like, but like,
and Spidey grounds all of it.
Yeah. The thing is that, like, as much as usually you talk about how heroes are defined by their rogue galleries, Spidey isn't.
No, Spidey, you could pluck Spidey out of his rogues gallery and put him someplace else, and he'll still be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You can't say that about, say, Batman, or
I mean, you can to a degree with Batman,
sure.
because they do it with Batman when they drop in the JLA Justice League stuff.
Sure, but at the same time, that rogues gallery always hangs like a shadow over him.
Sure, absolutely. I will say, Batman is when you think Batman, you always immediately think about the Joker.
Yes.
When you think Spider-Man, like you don't. There's no one villain you automatically think of.
Yeah, I mean, the closest for a while was probably Green Goblin.
Then he
died. So.
Dead
for a long fucking time.
For a long time, it's either Green Goblin or Venom.
Yep.
And Venom would have been more his real antithesis if they hadn't, ruined that by making more symbiote villains, and kept doing it.
And kept doing it.
Like, it was bad enough. Like, it was a terrible idea when they did it with Carnage.
And there are aspects of Carnage that I like. But I'm also completely cognizant of the fact that Carnage is just a shit character.
He's a terrible character, and he removes something. His mere existence makes Venom less interesting.
It makes him less special, yes.
Venom on his own, without Carnage existing, is a incredible foil for Spider-Man.
Yep.
The second there's another symbiote out there that's a villain that wants to kill Spider-Man, Venom loses some of his what makes him unique.
And what's more, a villain with a symbiote that uses the symbiote better.
Yeah.
And that's the real problem with Carnage, is he eclipses Venom simply by being better at Venom's job. Venom's... That's not entirely true. Venom is superior to Carnage, and he's a much more interesting character, and has a direct link to Spider-Man and Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say use his job, I mean like using the symbiote to do spooky, nasty stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big thing that Carnage allows them to do with Venom is use him as an anti-hero.
Yep.
Which, again, sort of ignores the point of Venom, in my opinion. It's the same way that it's the same. I have the same problem with that as I do with when they try to use. Sorry, go ahead, Eric. My bad.
I don't mind that all that much, in that it's taking a character, a popular and interesting one, and expanding their scope and trying to and exploring what they can do with him.
Sure.
They've never done it well.
Yeah. The problem I have with it is he starts falling into the same sort of general sort of role and sort of role within the universe as a whole as the Punisher, who's already a character I don't enjoy watching being portrayed sympathetically.
Sure, and I totally understand that. I'm not a terribly big fan of the Punisher myself.
I will say I am more capable of being sympathetic to Venom in some ways.
Yeah, well,
despite that the Punisher's backstory is more tragic. It's like
Punisher's backstory is more tragic. Venom's
I actually
has some issues.
I know it's very simple why. There's a very simple why. Venom is very clearly a comic book character. Punisher is someone who could actually exist.
Yes.
And that makes him too relatable to be. The problem is that the Punisher is literally a dude with a gun shooting people.
Yep.
And especially to these days, I'm, a lot less comfortable with that as a character. Especially when being portrayed sympathetically.
Well, you can portray Punisher sympathetically as long as you keep him on the right side of the moral line. Because you remember Punisher. I thought Daredevil did a great job with Punisher, the TV series, and that Punisher is clearly in the wrong. He is clearly a bad guy, but he's sympathetic and he's just so fucked up and broken, and no one's trying to help him.
Yeah, I don't know. I had problems with it because, again, I don't like the Punisher. I don't like seeing him being portrayed at all sympathetically. I get why I get intellectually why that works. But it's just there's something about it. Just he hits too close to home to real world stuff for me to be able to be comfortable with them portraying him in that way in a fictional setting.
Sure, I totally understand what you're saying there, and I agree when he's the fucking supposed to be the good guy.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Jesus fuck! That pisses me right the fuck off. Garth Ennis is the only person who's as far as I'm allowed to write Punisher comics, and I don't even like those, but I respect those.
Garth Ennis is the guy who goes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the villain and I'm going to carve a line in his bald head so he looks like a dick, and that's going to be funny, and everyone will think it's funny, and it was funny. My God, Preacher is just exactly the right kind of wrong.
But yeah, Garth Ennis' Punisher run was exceedingly well executed. I hated it. I hated the fuck out of it. I don't enjoy it, but it's really well done. I will never argue that it's badly done or that it's bad. It's simply I can't stand it.
Sure. I totally understand. I actually haven't read his Punisher run.
Oh, it's really you would really enjoy it, Eric.
Okay, I'll check it out at some point.
You should. He does something completely fucked up to Daredevil, which they actually basically does in the TV series.
Okay.
You know the bit where he duct tapes the guns to Daredevil's hand?
Yes.
Yeah, he basically does that in Garth Ennis. That's basically right out of Ennis' run.
Okay, cool.
It's a little more...
Yeah, it's Garth Ennis.
Yes. But again, I respect the hell out of Ennis' run in Punisher. I just don't like it. Two different things. It's like how I feel about the vast majority of Tarantino's work.
Right, exactly.
It's like, yes, Tarantino's a brilliant director. I can't stand most of his movies. Also, he's an asshole.
Yeah. Another thing with back to Spidey for a moment. Another thing I really like about Spidey is you can believably stick him anywhere on the power scale of the.
You can throw him in with any power level of associates, and he works.
Yes.
He's in a really well designed sweet spot of ability.
Yep. And I remember a bit where he's like, ages ago, where he was like squaring against Doctor Doom, and I was like, this isn't going to end well. Oh, he's holding his own. Go Spidey.
Again, I mean, he's in this really beautiful sweet spot, and has a broad enough range of abilities, not just in terms of powers, but like skills and knowledge and attitude, on top of his actual abilities and powers that allow him to just
remember. Yeah, and I remember in that particular thing, which I don't remember much about, but I remember the way he got Doom was he got under Doom's skin,
which is hard,
which is really hard. There are two people that can get underneath Doctor Doom's skin: Spider-Man and Reed Richards.
One of them has to work at it; the other just has to be Reed Richards.
Yeah, the other one just has to exist.
But the other thing is that the other reason that he works that way is one of Spider-Man's core character sort of fundamentals is that he's always vulnerable.
Yes.
And that's the
not
key.
Bulletproof. He's not. He doesn't have a healing factor. He's not bulletproof. Like, yeah.
So when you drop into low-level street stuff, yeah, he overpowers most of the thugs he's up against. Like, they can't fucking hit him.
Yeah.
They don't even come close. But if he ever fucks up, he's in trouble.
Yep.
And the fact that he knows that and has known that from the beginning, when he throw him when he's in over his head, that means that the way he has to approach stuff doesn't really change. He has to not fuck up.
Yep.
And I think that's a large part of why he works. Also, again, his particular suite of abilities means that when you plonk him up against these super high level, really dangerous people, when he's in over his head, he has a believable fighting chance to at least not get squashed. And have time to use that brain that he has.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Spidey's just as vulnerable as getting dead fighting the Punisher as he is fighting Thanos or Galactus.
Right.
Like, all he has to do is just slip up once and eat a bullet or an energy blast or whatever.
Yep.
Because he's not Wolverine. He cannot regenerate from a single drop of his own blood.
Wolverine didn't used to be that either, but let's not go there. Right. And that's basically what happened to him in the Ultimates universe.
Yep.
Punisher shot him.
Yep.
Mentally, he took a bullet for Cap, actually, but
right,
which Cap did not fucking deserve.
No, not that version of Cap.
That version of Cap did not deserve Parker taking a bullet for him. And he got the rightly deserved bitch slap from Aunt May for it.
Damn straight.
Go Aunt May. Rightly deserved in that. Ultimate Cap totally deserved that. But yeah.
Is it weird that Aunt May seems to continually get younger every time they reimagine her?
It happens. It's a little weird. I will say that the Aunt May in the new Spider-Man video game is not as old as the original Aunt May, but she is not Marissa Tomei.
Okay.
The other thing you have to remember, Eric, is that Marissa Tomei is actually like 50.
Right. She's a good-looking 50.
But she's actually enough older than she's actually about the right age to be Peter Parker's aunt, given that he's in high school. It actually makes sense. Honestly, original Aunt May is sort of a little old to be how much older is she than than Peter's actual parents?
I always sort of thought of her like original Aunt May. I always sort of thought of her as more of a great aunt.
That's my take too, but it was never said. At least not in the stuff I read. That doesn't mean it was never said. It just means I never. No,
I don't know if it was ever said anywhere. But
maybe she was his great aunt. I don't know.
that was always sort of the implication I took from it. So,
but still, like, you know, I totally I agree with you. It always seems it has seemed weird to me too.
Like, I'm expecting the next time they do Aunt May that she's going to be like some like 18-year-old.
Again, technically speaking, that's not impossible for her to be an aunt then, but
right, just not in the role she needs to be in.
no. Especially, I will say that it would make her relationship with Uncle Ben a little creepy if he's old enough to be in the position he should be in.
Unless Uncle Ben's also like 15.
In which case, that makes no goddamn sense.
Nope, it doesn't make any sense at all. Still, I wouldn't put it past someone.
No, me neither.
Yeah, Spidey's awesome is what it boils down
to.
to.
Yeah, Spidey is fantastic. Okay, so I actually do have a quick question for you before we have to wrap up soon. So, but
sure.
Quick question for you though, Eric. Who is your favorite of Spidey's Rogues Gallery? I'm curious.
Oh, that's something that's always shifting. I think today it's Doc Ock. Ask me tomorrow, it might be Venom or Mysterio or Sandman.
It's Doc Ock is very definitively for me. Followed probably Sandman. Probably. Maybe Mysterio is cool too. But Doc Ock is so far and away more compelling as a villain for me than any of Spidey's Rogues Gallery.
Yeah, Spidey is, or Doc Ock is really compelling and interesting, and has an excellent character design. But when it comes down, it's always been like basically between him and Venom. Venom's a space monster.
Yeah, I'm not the world's biggest Venom fan. I acknowledge his importance.
Venom's a space monster and has this really interesting dichotomy between a normal human being who has good reason to have a grudge against Peter Parker, that's allowed it to become pathological, and the space amoeba jilted lover, and how they feed on and enhance one another's grudges against Spider-Man and Peter Parker, respectively. And I think that's a really interesting thing. It's not something that's done well often enough. Also, space monster.
Yeah, Venom's. I will say, as I said earlier, Venom is important, and he fills a sort of really interesting, unique niche. I've never really enjoyed Venom. I don't know.
I totally understand why. Venom is so very 90s.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just something about Venom and I'll be honest, I think it's less I think it's less that I dislike Venom, more that I felt he got overplayed at one point.
Sure. And that's sort of, yes. And it's just he didn't get as overplayed as Wolverine, which is why I'm not big fan.
Wolverine. Wolverine should be a better character. I should like Wolverine more than I do, but I should
adore Wolverine, but he's got the fucking Space Marine problem.
Yeah. How the fuck did they make Wolverine boring?
I know.
Holy cow. I'm so tired of Wolverine. And, like, I love Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. He's great.
Yep.
I'm so tired of Wolverine. So tired of him.
No,
I'm tired of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Like, I love
Wolverine on paper, I should adore. Right. It's like on paper, I should adore Space Marines. But
okay, Eric, here's a question.
Years of having rammed down my throat.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question for you, Eric. I'll see if you can guess this. Who are my two favorite X-Men? I'm willing to see if you can get them.
Cyclops.
No, dear God, no.
No?
No.
Beast. Definitely Beast.
No.
No,
he's
not
third.
Beast? Huh.
He's third on my list. I actually, the problem is, Beast ties in a lot of stuff that's not X-Men directly that I...
Roach is Cyclops.
By the way, I get why people like Cyclops. He's just not, he does not do things for me. It just doesn't work for me.
It's not Longshot, is it?
Nope. You're not even close, man.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea.
Nightcrawler and Colossus.
Of course. Fucking of course. Of course it's Nightcrawler and Colossus.
I'm not surprised you didn't get Colossus.
It's so obvious.
That's why I thought I was throwing it at you.
Wow, that is really obvious. Of course it's Nightcrawler and Colossus. To be fair, Nightcrawler is also one of my favorite X-Men.
Well, Nightcrawler's amazing!
He's so cool!
He's so cool and good-natured and generally happy that he had to leave the X-Men.
Space pirate. No one wants to let him be a space pirate.
That's why he had to leave the X-Men and join Excalibur so he could join the team of mutants whose lives don't suck.
Yes. And one of the things I love about Nightcrawler is actually that, like, I didn't find this out until recently. By recently, I mean like the past 10 years. He was actually a devoted Catholic.
Yep.
He just doesn't talk about it.
Yep.
He doesn't ram it down people's throats. He's
Nope.
like, oh yeah, I'm Catholic. Oh, I didn't know. Well, I'm not going to ram it down your throat. That would be rude.
Oh no, that part of Nightcrawler is actually one of the inspirations that for the character Gabriel I use in superhero games.
Nightcrawler's really cool.
Yeah, Nightcrawler. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's also one of my favorites.
He was for a while my favorite superhero.
He's never been my favorite superhero.
It wasn't very long.
One of my favorite X-Men.
But yeah, he's one of my favorite. He is definitively one of my two favorite X-Men. And then Colossus, because Colossus is just great.
Yeah, Colossus is pretty cool. I have to agree there. For me, it's Nightcrawler and Beast.
Beast is number 3. He's very close behind. It's Nightcrawler, then Colossus, then Beast, like just behind Colossus.
Yeah. Beast's place for me is taken up by Rogue.
Sure, she's in there too. She's great.
Yeah, and then Colossus comes in for me.
Sure.
Wolverine isn't on this.
Yeah,
Again, I should adore Wolverine. I really should, but 25 fucking years of eating the same sandwich.
But yeah, somehow, despite one more day, Spidey is currently my favorite superhero. Actually, honestly, no small part of it is what the Marvel movies have done with him, and from watching some of the new Spider-Man game.
Yep, and honestly, like Spider-Man the comic book ends up being like the victim of some of Marvel's biggest missteps.
Yeah,
but they always manage to set him right. Usually because they kick out whoever the fuck had fucked him up and then recombobulate things.
But yeah,
which again is a great metaphor for Peter Parker's life.
All right, we should probably wrap things up here. We've run a little bit long.
It's food making time.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We had fun as always recording it. We spent about an hour talking about Spider-Man and comic books.
Yep.
Of course, we had fun. So that's going to do it for this week. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys had fun. We'll be back next week. Well, we will be back next week with some tomfoolery. We're moving the Grognards podcast recordings to Tuesday nights because Eric's going to be busy on Monday nights for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
And that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Good.
Normally we say the time in each episode for our viewer questions. We have run way long this week, so...
Yeah, well, I kind of figured we would Spider-Man.
Yeah, I did too, honestly. But if you do have questions you'd like us to answer on the show, please do send them to us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards@yahoo.com, or you can post them in the comment section on YouTube, because the recordings of this do go up on YouTube shortly after the recording. If you got feedback for us, constructive criticism, ways we can make the show better, please do let us know. Same email address or in the comments. Similarly, if you've got show topic suggestions for us, dear God, do we love show topic suggestions. Please do send them to us.
Yeah, we do.
we're going to be recording the show on Tuesday night, starting at roughly 7 p.m. Eastern, here on twitch.tv/MechaGM. If you want to know when we're going to be going live, keep an eye on my Twitter. My Twitter handle is @MechaGM, and I tweet out when the show is going to be going live and when I'm streaming in general. Other than that, though, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you so much for listening. As I said, hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.